Live from the studio of his parents' basement, the Have You Seen It podcast.
Hello and welcome back to the Have You Seen It podcast. My name is Mason Knight. Sitting across from me is the one and only Cash Krause. But before we begin, if you guys could please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. So with that said, Cash, what are we reviewing today?
Oh, well, fasten your seatbelts because we are watching.
It is fastened.
Click. Spider-Man 2
Yes.
is here. We're doing the Spider-Man, the OG Sam Raimi, the Holy Trilogy Spider-Mans, of course. Before No Way Home? Far From Home?
No Way Home.
Okay, No Way Home.
Far From Home was the second one.
Second one, yeah. I don't understand those titles at all.
Yeah, I think the No Way Home will
This
deal
trilogy
with the
kept it
multiverse.
simple. Spider-Man
It did.
2.
And it's
It's
so
as easy as it gets.
And it's so nice. I mean, just to jump right into it, that's something, like, don't get me wrong. I love the expanded Marvel universe and all that kind of stuff. But just to have a simplified Spider-Man.
I know.
It's just Spider-Man, nothing else.
Yeah.
There's something wholesome about this trilogy.
Well, it's not trying to connect it to 50 other franchises.
Exactly.
Bring Doctor Strange into this and that million other things. It's definitely keeping it simple. And it's not like the world is at stake here. I mean, New York was at stake here.
It was.
It
was
to
in
be
this
honest
one,
with
yes.
you. This one's a little
Doc went a
grander.
little crazy.
Yeah. But still, it's not the world that's ending here. It's still your neighborhood Spider-Man. It still feels small. And that's what I like about that. But
And not to say that, obviously we don't like the MCU and what they're doing. And, like, we're looking forward to No Way Home. But, again, it's wholesome.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is just your neighborhood Spider-Man. It's great.
Really, I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness because Sam Raimi is also directing that. And if he can bring a little bit of horror like he did into this, then that's going to be really good. But he will not have as much freedom on that one as he did on these ones, clearly.
No. And that's something like, going back, and you had alluded to that before we actually went back and reviewed this. I told you it's been about 5-6 years since I've last seen this. But I didn't really realize it as a kid. But you are right, man. He brought an element of horror to this and did it so well considering it was PG-13.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Probably my favorite scene of maybe any Marvel film ever is that scene of the doctors trying to operate on Doc Ock. It is horrifying. And I remember it clearly watching it as a kid, too. It horrified me. That's the scene of the woman being dragged and her fingernail.
Yeah, dude.
How he got away with that for a comic book movie blows my mind. But
well,
again,
even the slamming of the head, and then all of them attack him all at once, and you see the shadow, and you're just like, geez.
Yeah,
it's a lot to process as a 10-year-old kid.
And the editing, too, it's horror movie editing. Those quick zooms of the woman screaming, grabbing her face, screaming. It's awesome.
That's something too, is rewatching this film and really like kind of grasping and understanding filmmaking better as an adult. The zoom-ins, I loved it for this film, dude. The camera work, the cinematography, really, it felt comic booky, but not over the top.
Yeah, well,
that's a good job of that.
That's Sam Raimi. He does that because he's a huge comic book fan. So he brings that to all of his movies, even before he was doing comic book movies. So that's what works so well with bringing him on this one, because he already had that kind of over-the-top visual style that you need for a comic book movie. But he brought that. But yeah, that scene, man, when he just murders 9 doctors. And not even that, but it's like, it's crazy what these doctors are doing. I mean, they have like a sterilized like chainsaw. Is that part of it operating?
And they're just acting like it's another
it's
day at
hilarious.
the office.
They're laughing. Yeah. Oh, this guy with 4 metal arms comes into the hospital, and it's like you've seen 12 of them.
Well, with his vertebrae like intertwined with this metal spine.
That's something I love about this too. Is everything is pretty thought out for a comic book movie. Yeah. Like, they even go to explain, like, I feel like they wouldn't do that. Like, they don't explain in the new Spider-Man how Vulture's wings work. I mean, they just say alien technology, right? He got it from the aliens.
Simple as
good
that.
enough for me.
And check.
Yeah. But in this one, I love how they explain how they fuse the arms to his neurosystem through his spine. And the needles going in have always left a mark on me, too, because that looked mean, they're like 9-inch needles.
Something interesting though that I picked up on. It is funny if you really pay attention to the goofs of films. Everyone was facing him, and then when the needles went in, they're like, "Ugh." Well, I was thinking, none of you actually saw that.
What I'm in my head canon is because the sound of them going in, it's like stabbing a watermelon. I'm guessing they just heard and they're like, "Oh, what the fuck?" But he does explain that they go in through his spine and tap into his nervous system. Yeah. But let's talk about the metal arms. I love the metal arms in this. The use of practical effects for the metal arms is fucking fantastic. At times, you can't tell what's CGI and what's not. It's amazing. But all these arms are like, they're well written. All these arms have like their own personality. It's very fucking cool.
When they communicate with Doc Ock, too.
And they're all and they take care of him. Like there is, because it's interesting because, I mean, if you haven't seen the movie, go and see it. But he fuses these arms, but they have this artificial intelligence. So they're not purely connected by him. They're thinking on their own.
Yes.
But to not take over Doc Ock, he implants a little chip that gives him control. And, of course, that chip immediately destroyed. No safety protocol at all for that chip being destroyed.
And, that's essentially his Achilles heel, right? Yeah, like the one spot on his body that could fuck him up.
But it is like a glass vase, as fragile as it can be.
Super fragile.
I mean, a strong gust of wind and that thing is shattered. And these arms are killing people.
It's like an iPhone screen.
You got to be more careful.
You do.
Something I always laughed at, and even as a kid, is like, this guy invented 4 metal arms that would revolutionize the world. Can you imagine selling these things to the army or people that are paralyzed?
Yeah.
Can walk again, can move, can work again. No one is impressed by these metal arms in this.
Not that much.
This guy would be getting a Nobel Prize for these arms.
Yeah,
Who cares with the sun shit?
Well, and at least
it's amazing technology.
Yeah. No, it really is. At least Harry recognized that. He said Nobel Prize, Peace Prize, but that's about it. Everyone else there was like, oh.
Let's get to the sun.
This is good.
This guy, it's going to change things forever. I mean, how you do construction, like you don't need equipment anymore.
It's that fusion power.
These arms
it's the tritium,
do
man.
Everything. But yeah, I love the arms, man. They are like a character unto themselves in this movie. And they're horrifying, too. They're evil little fuckers.
Yeah, they are.
Once they get going on their own, evil guys. But Alfred Molina, man. Can we talk about him?
Oh, we can.
What a perfect casting for Doc Ock.
A perfect casting, but also something fascinating is he doesn't do a lot of like live action roles. He does a lot of voiceover work these days.
Yeah, well, he is just a straight up like thespian when it comes to acting. He does Broadway, a ton of Broadway. He was doing Fiddler on the Roof when they were filming this.
Wow.
Yeah, but he's just like Willem Dafoe. He's from that kind of class of acting where they were both brought up on Broadway. They're just, I love these movies because they don't try to get the most popular people in the world at the time. They try to get just the best actors possible for the roles. Instead of nowadays where they're just getting the most handsome and beautiful people they possibly can to do every single role. This one is they're getting the best people. Alfred Molina, he looks like Doc Ock from the comic books. He's got that super stocky
body, and
like 1950s bodybuilder-esque. Like he's powerful, but he's not ripped by any means.
When you really saw that, when he obviously undresses and he gets there, and it's not like this perfect physique. It's a very like doctor body.
But it is Doc Ock. I mean, if you've seen Doc Ock in the comics, that's how he is. He's a real fucking stocky, bullheaded kind of guy. Yeah. And it's just perfect. And his acting is incredible. And talk about another horror scene when his wife dies. You would never see that in a Marvel film.
Never, not now.
Shards of glass.
That's how she dies. Pretty gruesome.
That's a way to go. Yeah. That's the worst death of any Marvel film.
Well, that's the thing that is different from this film, or these films, I should say, to like what the MCU does. It took fucking almost 20 films for Iron Man to finally die. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, you haven't seen that yet.
If you haven't seen it yet. Yeah. But like these Spider-Mans, they're not scared to kill people off.
No, the villains. That's exactly what I was thinking too. Because in the new Spider-Man, the trailer that we just watched, go check that out. Our reaction to it if you haven't. But they're like, all these guys died fighting you. None of these guys died fighting the new Spider-Man. The villains never die.
Yeah,
they just get caught. In these Spider-Man, they always die. I mean, they have to die because they're evil guys.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, you can't keep them around.
You know, to be fair, because I know they're trying to build up to the Sinister Six and doing all that, so you do have to keep some of them around, some of the villains around. Yeah. But at the same time, like I just respect this franchise and this trilogy a lot because they're willing to go there.
Yeah, well, they're willing. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's a lot about money, but it's not purely about, like I said, setting up more and more and more. Now, Marvel's so afraid of killing him off because they always want to bring someone back. You know, if they can make money off it, then they want to bring someone back. So, but it's a great idea of bringing these guys back with the multiverse of. I mean, but yeah. A lot of death in this.
A lot of death.
A lot of death.
But we got to talk about this too because the writing for this is so good. It's so good. The story of, Spider-Man dealing with the pressures of life while also being Spider-Man. You know, he might be 20, 21 at this time.
Yeah.
He's trying to juggle a job, juggle a relationship with Mary Jane, trying to juggle college as well while being Spider-Man.
Money's a huge issue.
Mary Jane, Aunt May is dealing
also
with
struggling,
foreclosing on her home.
That's what I like about it too. Spider-Man has always been like the most human of any comic book. He's not a millionaire playboy or whatever. He's just some kid. But they make him the most human, or Sam Raimi does the best job of making him most human because he goes through just very normal problems that anyone goes through. But the funniest thing in this one is everyone thinks Peter Parker is the biggest pussy. Like every time he's like, man, there goes Peter running away. Every time anything happens, I'm like,
Aunt May at the bank when Doc Ock's there, she's like, Peter, are you running away?
Yeah, the kid's a real hero of yours. Yeah. Not only that, but like he's always late for his job because he's saving the fucking city. So everyone thinks he's the laziest
guy in the world. Yeah.
He's the
runs into his professor. He's like, where are you going? To your class. He goes, Peter, I'm in front of you. The class is over.
It was over an hour ago. Yeah. And
then Mary Jane obviously dealing with, her being an actor.
Well, Doc Ock says too. He says you're brilliant, but you're lazy. I'm like, really? No, he's working like 8 jobs. He gets fired from his pizza job too, which is brutal too. 8 deep dish pizzas in 7 minutes.
Well, and then you got to go 14 blocks in 9 minutes. I'm like,
in New York?
Yeah, in New York. Get out of here. You're setting me up to fail, asshole.
I know.
How often do you keep these employees?
29-minute pizza is a weird thing anyways.
Super weird.
Yeah, but 8 deep dish pizzas is ridiculous.
That's a hefty price tag.
And who's buying deep dish in New York? It's thin crust.
Yeah, I guess so.
Come on,
I mean, I'm not much of a New York historian, but
well, everyone knows Chicago's deep dish.
That is true.
Come on, but yeah, it is definitely the most human story. I love the money issues, and any scene with him and Aunt May was amazing. When she's really fucking struggling, she gives him the last $20. It's a gut-wrenching scene.
It's emotional, actually. And, like, I actually got a little emotional watching it, again, because I'm not a kid anymore. That scene, the $20 is hard.
Oh,
because, like, I've had a personal, my grandma's deceased now, but, like, I had that kind of same thing with her, where she's like, no, take this and don't leave it.
Yeah.
And, like, so, like, that resonated with me where I was like, whoa. That's tough.
It's great writing, yeah. And from like Aunt May's perspective, it's like her and Uncle Ben, like their whole thing was just taking care of Peter, and now she's struggling to be able to take care of him without Uncle Ben being there. Yeah. So, these scenes definitely hit me harder now than they do when I was a kid.
You're a kid, you don't have context, you're 10.
Yeah, exactly. You think money's just fucking everywhere.
You think grandparents are gonna live forever too, unless they get shot by a.
Well, unless you mess around and you don't stop the guy.
Another Aunt May scene too that was really, really good was when Peter shows up after he tells her, this is the next time they saw each other after he tells her that it was his fault with Uncle Ben.
Yeah, well, that's when she's moving out, right?
Yeah, she's moving out.
She gets the kid to come over and help. The kid loves Spider-Man or whatever.
He does.
Well, this one has one of my favorite story arcs of him losing his powers.
Yeah.
The metamorphosis of him kind of de-evolving and him having to lose his powers to really appreciate them, because when he loses them, he loves it. He can finally be a normal guy or whatever. Violence, crimes happening
everywhere, and he doesn't care at this point anymore.
Oh, he can't. I know, but man, New York's a wild time. 2004. You couldn't turn a corner without some guy getting mugged, and
and they
no one doing
anything.
Oh my god, everywhere he goes. But And such a small city, too, because Doc Ock just happens to be robbing the bank that Peter Parker and his aunt are trying to get a loan.
It's very true.
It's a small world.
I don't know, though. Like, for me, the writing of this, like, the pacing for this film is also phenomenal, considering it's 2 hours and 15 minutes. It flew by for me, Cash.
Yeah.
Majority of times, I'm checking my phone if it's over 2 hours. This one just blows by, man.
Yeah, you could almost
pacing's great.
set it on a stopwatch, 20 minutes, action scene. Well, except for that third act, man. Once you get on the train, it doesn't stop until, 40 minutes later, until he's pulling the sun into the ocean or the water or whatever. But
that train scene's beautiful, too, man. Like
Joey Diaz.
Yeah, we got to talk about that. Hey, you're going to have to get through me.
He just tears him in half. He just kills him immediately. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Dude, I had because Joey always talks about it on his podcast. So
he talks about that?
Oh, yeah. But
really?
he doesn't like brag about it. He talks about how like,
I know.
Acting and this and that. I was in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. How? I was wondering how he even got the role. But
because he used to do a little bit of acting. But
well, I know that. He was a comedian and everything. But there's a ton of cameos in this fucking film. A ton of cameos. But yeah, I love that. That whole action sequence is amazing when they're flying through the city on the train, and when he's got to stop the train too. It's like almost biblical. He's almost like
that's what I would bring that up. And they carry him. Yeah, dude. And they're all carrying him down and set him down.
Safe with me, cocksucker.
Gives him safe with me. You got a joint on you, Jack. I'm Joey Bananas.
Yeah. Great scene. I mean, if you're going to do something in New York, I guess you got to get the most New York guy in the fucking world. It's just Joey Diaz. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, amazing action sequence. The whole thing, too, I love the bank robbery scene, too. When he's, well, because the whole thing, I mean, he's always losing his powers, but when he's spider webs the two desks and he splits one, but he gets hit and he flies 80 feet into that. It never says he grows like superhuman strength or anything. I don't know how Doc Ock is taking these.
I don't know. Yeah, no shit. That damage, man.
A normal guy gets hit by a desk going 80 miles an hour.
He's donezo, man. He ain't walking that one off. Don't care if you have bionicle arms.
No, they're not helping you in that situation. Not the internal bleeding, but yeah, love the scene. Love the scene of him climbing up the roof too with
Mary Jane or Aunt May.
Aunt May.
Yeah.
When he's about to stab him. When he's like doing the slingshot thing, and then Aunt May fucking saves him at the very end.
What does she say? She says something so Aunt May. Like, how rude.
I think it is something like that.
Smacked him over the head with
racks him over the head.
Hey, she's got a good swing.
Oh my God.
Could have been a ball player.
Took his eye out, probably. Yeah, that scene's awesome.
I also love the scene too, and they set this up really well, like with the cameras and whatnot. Because the whole time I'm thinking, how in the hell is this old broad hanging there for 5 minutes, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And then come to find out there was a ledge. I mean, she obviously fell on. If she fell, she was hanging on, which is not realistic, but I'm okay with it. But
well, it's not also realistic that of the crowd of people, he grabs Aunt May.
I know, of course.
He goes right through
the oldest lady.
I know. But all the line, there's so many good dialogue. There's so many good just one-liners. The power of the sun in the palm of my hands. I love that line. And the fasten your seatbelts line, which I remember specifically from the trailer. Of like, that was the first scene of the trailer, is him putting on the glasses and going fasten your seatbelts and then showing the fucking trailer.
You know what's weird? Is I actually watched the trailer before I watched the film.
Today? Oh, yeah.
No, last night.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, because they do that for Peacock and they have the trailer and whatnot. So I watched the trailer first. And it's wild how they used to cut up 2004 trailers. So much different than now. I mean, I like it. It was fine, but...
They're wild for sure. I mean, they're showing pure action. That's all you want from a 2004 trailer. But, a ton of good one-liners, though.
Yeah, there are.
And a ton of good just wisdom being dropped on Peter Parker through everyone.
Throughout the whole
Doc Ock, Aunt May.
Even Uncle Ben had a cameo.
Yeah, his doctor, who's the nicest doctor ever.
We gotta talk about the doctor.
Let's talk to you. Like, he's not psychiatrist.
These dreams that you're having. You're Spider-Man.
Most doctors are like, all right, get the fuck out of here. Yeah,
I got 11 more patients waiting.
Be $800. This guy, one wearing a tie-dye shirt. You know he's a cool doctor.
Well, it was Grateful Dead.
Was it?
It was Grateful Dead, yeah. Grateful Dead.
That must be like a Sam Raimi thing, like he wanted or something like that.
Probably.
Because you know that Doc's smoking a little J
Oh,
right
for
before he
sure.
sees you.
That's
He's a
why
cool
like,
guy.
Let's have a conversation. I don't want to see these other fucking patients anyway.
He's just prescribing you medical marijuana for everything.
Oh,
Doc,
for sure.
I have cancer. I need chemo.
Yeah, he's like,
Come on, let me sit down.
Have you ever heard of CBD?
Listen to this old deadhead, okay? I know what I'm doing. Yeah, yeah, but the nicest doctor ever.
Yeah.
I mean, Peter's his life is just sprinkled out through these amazing influences, and that's got to be why he's such amazing guys, because he's had all these great people. But a lot of cameos. His professor, Dr. Connors, is the Lizard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's. Yep. I don't know if they never come back to it. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't think the CGI was there for a full Lizard.
But again, let's talk about that too. The CGI is so good in this.
Yeah,
it's better than Spider-Man. The first one, it's great, and only 2 years after
I know
2002.
It's better, Spider-Man. I swear. After seeing the CGI arms in the newer one, these ones look better. They look 100 times better. They do. It's so weird, but
it is weird.
It just takes more work to get, because all these arms were. I've seen the behind the scenes. I used to have the DVD, so I had the special features, but they're all they're puppets. So they're all four arms are being controlled by four puppeteers.
4 people, yeah.
Yeah, so each one has so the whole entire movie, it's like they're just, moving the arms, and they have the grass and everything. It's crazy. Yeah, they were really, really detailed puppets. And I remember in the special features DVD, they're talking about the hospital scene. And they said when they did the CGI for that when they rewatched it back, the CGI was so amazing they couldn't tell what was puppetry and what was CGI. They said it was seamless, which I don't get how you get that in 2004.
Crazy.
And then you get $150 million movies. It's insane. I don't know if you've seen, I'm going to go off a tangent, but I don't know if you've seen the Netflix movie Red Notice with The Rock.
I did actually see it. Yes.
It looks I mean, the CGI and shit looks horrible.
Oh, dude. Yeah, the CGI is awful. But
they spent $150 million on it. And
I know.
That bowl scene looks like it came from fucking, I can't say it looks like it came from 2004 because this film
like
it came
great.
from 1904. I mean, the CGI is so bad.
You don't get
it's getting like progressively worse. I don't know what's happening, but
that movie was funnier than I thought it was going to be, though. I laughed quite a bit.
I did not watch the whole thing after seeing just there's so many bad CGI scenes that
there are.
That movie is so expensive.
Do you think they do that on purpose?
I think they're cutting costs in areas that they don't think are important.
Well, I'm paying The Rock and Ryan Reynolds.
$50 million.
Gal Gadot,
it's a third of your budget, exactly. So at the end of the day, they think, who's gonna care? People watch it no matter what. It's on Netflix, but disgusts me.
Oh, wow.
Disgusts me.
Very strong opinions.
You might as well just throw money in a trash can, in my opinion. Yeah, it's ridiculous, but they took their time on this one. They care about it.
We got to talk about the old love relationship between, Tobey Mcguire, or why did I say that? Peter Parker and Mary Jane Watson.
Yeah, always good.
Always good. And I don't know. For me, in this dynamic, this love relationship, I actually found really appeasing. I really enjoyed it. It brought some of that innocence from high school over to being young adults.
Yeah.
And dealing with the transition of being transitioning into adulthood. And I liked it a lot because she didn't understand. He kept going back and forth, being so busy and whatnot. And she wanted to love him, but he was unlovable because he was Spider-Man.
And all these problems would be solved too. It's the superhero dilemma, I guess. All these problems would be solved if he just told people he was Spider-Man.
Yeah,
exactly. But he's such a good hero. He's so scared that it could put them in danger that he can't. Eventually, he does though.
He does, and I love it too because obviously he finally does tell her, but says this is why we can never be together. She actually gets cold feet, says adios, not getting married. Goes over to Peter Parker's house, and he goes, I thought we made this clear we couldn't be together. And she goes, you got to let me make my own choice.
Yeah,
And I really enjoyed that too. Yeah.
I don't think there's any better Mary Jane than Kirsten Dunst.
No, she was great.
She's by far the best actress that they've had, I think, in that role. She is so good. You almost don't spend enough time with her. Mm. But we got to talk about Harry Osborn. That fucking prick gets worse and worse in every movie
he does.
God
what a
damn.
little fucking rich, entitled asshole.
Now he's like the CEO. He couldn't even pass high school in the first film.
Now he's running the company. What in the hell is this?
It's nepotism, my guy. Nepotism.
Quite the character.
He's running that company straight into the ground, letting some guy make a son. It's insane.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then he's getting drunk and smacking Peter Parker. I thought that was a little unnecessary.
Not even that, but he sold Peter Parker out to Doc Ock for the trinium or whatever. Yeah. He said Peter Parker knows where. He's the worst guy ever.
No, he's not a good friend.
He's a horrible friend.
Peter, you're not a good friend because you're not telling me where Spider-Man is. You're not a good friend because you sold me out, bitch.
And you want to kill the Spider-Man. He's a hero.
Yeah. And he was like, you stole Mary Jane from me. It's like, bro, we're not together. Shut up. I mean, you're living in the past, man. We were kids. It's unbelievable.
He's a piece of shit. He really is, dude. He gets worse and worse in this. And he's mean to his butler in this one, too. And his butler always tries to be nice to him.
Yeah, he's always trying to be nice.
But yeah, sells him out. But, another scene I was going to bring up was going back to Mary Jane. I love the scene when they're in the coffee shop and the car gets thrown.
Right before they're going to kiss.
That scene was shown on every promotional fucking video before this film came out. Yep. Yeah, but it's still amazing.
It is.
Of the spider sense of him getting it. And I don't know how right there she didn't immediately know.
Yeah, he grabs her and he like
he's facing away from the car.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
But another thing of that scene is like Doc Ock at this point doesn't know Peter Parker is Spider-Man. So he throws a
fucking car at him like you're going to kill him, you dumbass.
He's your only chance of fighting Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And he throws a straight up 4-door sedan at this guy who thinks is only a nerdy scientist kid.
Yeah, he's not going to walk that off, Doc.
Doc, not everyone's like you,
Yeah, not everyone's like you, pal. Can't get a desk thrown at you 80 miles an hour.
That's why I love, too, also the turn from Doc Ock from, humanitarian scientist to straight up murderer is quick.
Even a friend of Peter's, too. You know, like, obviously having that relationship with him, knowing that Peter was smart and bouncing scientific ideas off of him.
Yeah.
In a sense, you know.
And the quick relationship we get of Doc Ock and his wife, too. It's very fast, but it's very well established that they are like meant for each other. They are straight up soulmates. And
that's just great dialogue.
Exactly.
Yeah. And great acting as well.
But. Yeah, exactly. And great casting too. But like you could tell from just the small scenes that they're in, it's like Doc Ock was at one time Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. He was this guy who only cared about, science or whatever he was doing. He didn't know he's Spider-Man, obviously, but didn't care about relationships or anything. And Doc Ock tells him to slow down, these are things that are worth it. And then immediately next scene, his wife is murdered, and he's like, there's nothing left for me to live.
So I'm just going to be a bad guy.
Yeah. But let's just talk about the experiment of the sun. It's just crazy, okay?
Yeah.
Why this would have to be done. It wouldn't be done in a New York high rise. It'd be done in like New Mexico, the desert or something.
Of course, not in the middle of a fucking city. Are you kidding me?
The most densely populated area in the United States.
Let's give it a go.
Not even that, but when it goes back in, it creates like a mini black hole.
Yeah.
No one's worried about this.
So irresponsible.
Go out somewhere to do it. Not even that, the experiment's never been done before. No. The first test is happening in his apartment.
Yeah, his apartment in New York City. Yeah, unbelievable.
It's very comic booky, but it just works for the film.
It does.
You don't second guess it. That's what comic book guys do.
I also love the setup of him, like after, obviously it fails and everything, and he finds that old abandoned place out in the water, too.
Yeah.
I love that.
Me too, and I love how they don't skip through him building it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they take the time to show scenes of him putting it all together. He's got to go get money. He's got to go rob the bank, and then he's got to get the trinium. He's got to go fucking rob shitty ass Harry Osborn to get it.
Pretty easy.
Yeah,
just hold him over a ledge.
Yeah. But I like that they didn't skip over all those scenes and they showed it. Like you said, it is a long movie, but I think every scene is worth it.
Absolutely.
Every scene establishes something that you kind of need to move forward with it. But yeah, I really like that, and him heaving up the giant metal pieces too with the arms. it looks amazing. Everything is just so well done. Whatever he moves to with the arms, like you can tell there's some weight with it too, because he's got to swing his body when he moves them. You know, I like that first scene of him walking out of the hospital and the taxi comes and he just fucking
Flips that bitch. Says out of the way.
But it was like, it wasn't even his reaction. It was the arm's reaction too, because you can tell when he does it, he's like, oh, what the fuck? He's also half naked in the thing too, but
he is.
it's cold. He was nipping.
He was nipping pretty hard.
Pretty
Could
hard.
have cut diamonds with those bad boys.
God. He might have cut a doctor on the way out.
could have.
With those fucking nippies, but yeah, I can't speak highly enough about Alfred Molina. I said Willem Dafoe should have got an Oscar nominee for the first one. Alfred Molina should have got it for the second one too. He's just an amazing actor. And like you
They
said,
just won't do that for superhero films.
no. Well, we will eventually, I think now. Well, I mean, they have fucking Heath Ledger.
Oh,
Post-mortem one.
good point,
So I think we're back then though.
no way.
Not a chance, man. These films were still schlocky for sure, even though they were raking in a lot of money.
Well, yeah, budget for this roughly $200 million, made about $876 million at the box office. So I'd say a pretty good day at the.
Oh yeah,
as far as
absolutely.
returns.
Ended up making $789 million total.
That's okay, 789. Yep. That's
It made 187 opening weekend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was
wow.
yeah, that's what it was. I think that you read. Yeah, so 789 total. Yeah,
Yep.
pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Not bad. And this one is ranked. I had to look it up because even before I knew this was one of the best. But this is like this as far as Rotten Tomatoes go, it's top 5 comic book movie ever.
Well, that's crazy you brought that up, because
Yeah.
I was just about to say that, Cash, because I haven't seen these films in a while, but recency bias is a thing, like seeing all these new Marvel films coming down the pipeline over the years. This hits my top 5.
Oh, absolutely.
So good. From start to finish, a fantastic superhero film.
Yeah, it's and we get a cameo from William Dafoe at some point.
We do, in the mirror at the end.
He comes
with Harry.
in with Harry, which I guess was Willem Dafoe's idea.
Really?
It's the funniest story, dude. In the trivia, of course, you got to take IMDb trivia with a grain of salt, of course. But I do think this is confirmed by him. Is he was walking by New York because he lives in New York. You know, he loves New York. Willem Dafoe. But he was walking by the set they were filming, and he just wanted to check out like the crew or whatever and say hi to everyone. So he went on set just to say hi, you know, Sam Raimi, and they're like, "Hey, you should cameo." But Willem Dafoe had the idea for cameo from is it Hamlet, where the ghost of his dad comes and talks to him to like, is it?
Yeah, that is Hamlet.
To avenge him or whatever. I think that's it. That was Willem Dafoe's idea to tell Harry to avenge him. Yeah, which really sparked the entire third movie.
It really did, yeah. Well, especially with Harry like taking over Goblin. Well, yeah, and all that setup, and on top of it with the breaking of the mirror and then going in and finding Goblin's old.
Well, they set.
Layer.
I just wish that third movie was better. Which it's not the worst
It's
movie.
not the worst.
That's what I was gonna say. It's not the worst movie of all time, but it's just compared to these first two, it lacks a lot. Yeah. But they set that arc up of Harry perfectly with him hating Spider-Man from the first one until the third one. It was set up just perfect. I mean, him seeing Spider-Man lay down, you know, fucking Osborn and thinking he did it, and then Spider fucking webbing off. It was set up perfectly. They just didn't execute it in the third one that great, unfortunately.
Well, I think the third one, and we might review it, we don't know, but just got a little too convoluted with all the different villains.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yep.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do with it.
You know, one.
Which I've always heard that it was the studio that really wanted them to put Venom in it. Yeah, which is the worst part of the movie. Yeah. The Sandman arc I like a lot, actually, in the third one with his daughter and whatnot. Right. And he's the only villain not to
They just can't get Venom right, period.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what's so hard.
I know.
The comic books get it right.
Yeah.
Perfectly. But no one can get Venom right. Sony can't get a fucking movie right. Since this one.
I was going to say these ones.
Besides Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse would hit my top. It was my number one
It's also
film.
my top 5 with me, for sure. Yeah. And that's the number 1 rated Spider-Man movie, 97% Rotten Tomatoes. But this one's kind of rare This one, Spider-Man 2 has a higher critic score than it does user.
What?
User's 89% and the critic score is 90, which is pretty rare for superhero films.
Yeah, how is that possible?
I don't.
I mean, I'm just wondering
Critics
who
love it.
downvoted this film as far as
don't
like
know.
audience. That's
don't know.
super weird.
The same people that give every other Marvel film today 100%.
Yeah.
Are the people that did not like this one, I guess. But I love it, man.
So do I. This was a great
I'm
review.
glad we did
Yeah,
it.
as am I.
If you haven't seen Spider-Man 2 yet, take a journey, my guy.
Absolutely.
Go through all of them.
Go rewatch them because No Way Home is coming December 17th. So we will be reviewing that as well on this podcast.
Man, are they really promoting Alfred Molina? That seems like he's like almost the
Absolutely.
main villain.
Yeah.
We don't get very much Willem Dafoe though.
I know. We saw a little hint. We saw the glider. We saw the goblin
We
mask.
saw the laugh. We
did.
heard. You spun your last web, Spider-Man.
I love that. I love that line.
Every villain in everyone has some kind of web-related
Yeah.
joke. But, yeah, I love it.
Alrighty. Well, that is our review for Spider-Man 2. If you guys like what you've seen here, please be sure to smash that like button, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell notification as we drop videos here every single day. Thank you so much for watching and listening. My name is Mason Knight. That is Cash Krause, and until next time.
Bye.